Part 91. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 901. Chapter 901 Little Girl, You Got the Wrong Person 3. The woman who looked exactly like Mother Jian laughed and said, "How is it possible? Don't I know if I have a daughter?" But seeing her sad look made me really worried. It was the first time I saw someone crying and calling me mom. For a moment, I almost thought I was really her mother. Ha ha ha, don't talk about you. I saw her looking sad, and I was so upset. This little girl is so beautiful, and she looks like you. Obviously, she is a poor person who hasn't seen her mother for a long time, so seeing her with her mother, if you are similar, I will hold you and call you mom. Yes, it looks quite pitiful. There must be some story to it. The two ladies only chatted about Jian Yuman for a few minutes before turning to other topics. The fact that Jian Yuman hugged her and called her mother did not leave many traces in their hearts, and they forgot about it not long after they walked out of the restaurant. In their view, this is just a small episode in life. Jian Yuman, who was crying very kindly in the restaurant, was still holding Tanyuj and crying. Watching her mother gradually leave her, Jian Yuman's heart felt empty, as if her mother had left her forever. Tanyuj hugged Jian Yuman and returned to his seat, comforting her softly. Jian Yuman held her mouth sadly and burst into tears. After crying for a while, she slowly regained control of her emotions. "Mr. Tang, do you think this person is really not my mother?" She still couldn't believe why there could be two people in the world who looked exactly the same, and it wasn't like she and Lili were twins at first sight. It does look a lot like Ncienur, which is also strange at all because the two people look so much alike, and the resemblance is uncanny, to the point of being weird. For example, Jian Yuman and Qi Lili are identical twins. They look exactly the same, but have completely different temperaments. If you can still see a little difference through very confident research, it must take a very close person to tell the difference. However, the woman in front of her looked exactly like Jian Xian'er in all other ways except for her different clothes. Even her temperament was exactly the same. However, Jian Xian'er has always denied her identity, and her eyes don't look like she is lying. Perhaps, she is really Ncienur. Tanyuj put forward this bold hypothesis. From just now, he began to think about what would happen if the woman in front of him was Jian Xian'er. Really, an excited smile immediately appeared on Jian Yuman's face, full of expectations for this possibility, because even she herself was looking forward to it, and any possibility could revive her with full health. Although I looked at this woman and didn't see any lies in her eyes, it doesn't mean that she didn't lie. In many cases, there are several possibilities that make it difficult for people to tell whether she is lying. The first is that she has deceived herself and thinks that she is not a woman like you. In this case, it is difficult for people to think that the other party is lying. This is the highest level of lying. Jian Yuman frowned and quickly shook his head to deny this assumption. Then why? Why doesn't mom recognize me? What's the reason for not recognizing me? Why do you lie? But if you think about it carefully, this possibility is very scary. She was shocked by this thought. This possibility really made her sad. She even didn't want this possibility to exist, which would make her even more sad. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 902. Chapter 902, Little Girl, You Got the Wrong Person 4. After getting close to the woman, Jian Yuman could tell at a glance how expensive she was wearing. The mink coat she is wearing has been seen in fashion magazines and costs hundreds of thousands of yuan. The ring she wears on her finger is almost astronomical, and there is only one of it in the world. The clothes he was wearing were something I had never seen before, but the material and design style could be seen to be made by famous artists. The baby on the side is also a new autumn model this year, and there are only 5 limited editions in the world. Those who can buy it are either rich or expensive. How could Qian's mother be so rich? Before the separation, Qian's mother's salary and savings could not even rent a better house in San Francisco, where land is at a premium. At that time, Qian's mother worked hard everywhere to make a living and kept herself simple in everything she wore. She was an amazing woman. How could such Qian's mother be so luxuriously dressed? Qian Yuman remembered that Mr. And if my mother wants to deny the past from the bottom of her heart and pretend that she doesn't know herself, does that mean she doesn't even want her 2 women? Why did she do this? I think Mr. This possibility was immediately rejected by Qian Yuman. Her mother loved her very much, how could she deny herself for the sake of glory and wealth? Then there is another possibility, which is also the most reasonable possibility. Another possibility? What is it? Qian Yuman's eyes lit up. Do you remember that you and I met again because of Ancienne's medical expenses, and when we investigated her whereabouts before, it showed that she was still ill. Although the operation went well, she has been in a coma, and her illness it's because there is a benign tumor in the brain. The brain is a complex place, and no doctor can guarantee that the surgery will be safe and there will be no sequelae. It was the surgery that caused your mother to become a vegetative state. For half a year. Suppose the person I met today is really Ancienne. Judging from her current complexion and speech, it is obvious that she has no external sequelae. Her complexion is rosy and her steps are as fast as flying. It means that her illness is cured, but the only possibility is that the sequelae of her surgery are in her brain. She lost her memory, so she didn't come to see you after she woke up, nor did she remember you as a person, and she even forgot about the past. Amnesia. Hearing Tang Yu's analysis, Qian Yuman began to think deeply, and the scenes in the TV series flashed through his mind. One of the male and female protagonists often suffers from amnesia, and this situation has also appeared in her life. Just like Lan Tianlu's wife Xiaoling, she once forgot everyone because of an accident, even Lan Tianlu, whom she loved deeply. She once went to see Xiaoling, and she completely forgot about her senior sister. As for the strange reaction of the woman just now, it may be that she has forgotten all the past and Qian Yuman and others, so she thought she recognized the wrong person. Mr. Tang, if this is really the case, what should we do now? Mom is already gone. Qian Yuman was very sure that the person she just saw was her mother. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 903. Chapter 903 Almost Exposing Little Mickey 1. Qian Yuman was already very sure that the person she just saw was her mother. Because no matter how you think about it, the woman just now looked so much like my mother that it was terrifying. Quick, Mr. Tang, use your strong connections to help me investigate. Qian Yuman's eyes were shining, and she had swept away the sad look just now. She looked at Tang Yuj expectantly, thinking that the person just now was really missing. My mother, it's as if she had been injected with chicken blood. Don't worry, I will help you investigate. Tang Yuj smiled softly, and he was very happy to see her return to her usual liveliness. It's just that there are still some difficulties in the investigation. If I had known, I would have grabbed her and asked for specific information. Now that she is gone, I don't know where to investigate, Qian Yuman said in annoyance. I only know that the woman was called Ninger by another woman, but I don't know any other information. Tang Yuj reached out and patted Qian Yuman's troubled face and said with a smile. Don't worry, with my ability, I can't find anyone yet. As long as she is in London, she will always be investigated. It just takes a little time. Okay. Then I can rest assured that Mr. Tang will do the work. A bright smile appeared on Qian Yuman's face again. The thought in her mind that the woman just now might be her mother made her feel particularly good. No matter what, as long as it's my mother, nothing is a problem, whether it's because of amnesia or other reasons why I don't recognize her. At least one thing is guaranteed, my mother is back to health and is living a happy life. Qian Yuman excitedly took out her mobile phone and wanted to call her father and Lili to tell her father and sister the good news. Facing the missing Qian Xian'er, apart from their two daughters, the one who is most worried about Qian Xian'er's whereabouts is Qi Zhangkai's father. For so many years, he has not given up on searching for Qian Xian'er's whereabouts. Qian Yuman made a video call to her father, wanting to share the news of finding her suspected mother as soon as possible. I believe her father would be very excited. Not long after the call came, Qi's father answered the call. It looked like the environment was his father's office. Qi's father was in a good mood after receiving a video call from his daughter. "Baby girl, why do you have time to call me?" At this time, Tangyuj slowly appeared at the back of the video and silently greeted Dad Qi. Their video screen was a small image, so Qian Yuman didn't notice that Tangyuj appeared in the video screen and deliberately made a riddle. "Dad, I have great news for you. I believe you will be very excited when you hear it." Qian Yuman had a bright smile on her face, and her excited eyes almost turned into slits. Papa Qi looked at Tangyuj, who appeared next to his daughter. During this time, Tangyuj grinned and kept making gestures behind her. He pointed at Qian Yuman and then at himself, a bit suspicious of causing trouble. When Qi's father saw this and then looked at his daughter's happy face, he also smiled. Because she saw Tangyuj and Qian Yuman together, and Qian Yuman smiled so brightly and told her good news, she naturally thought that Tangyuj and Qian Yuman were back together, so her daughter happily called him to share this news with him. "Good news? Oh, I know. Let Dad guess what good news you are going to tell me." Qi Zhan was also happy for his daughter and started laughing with her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 904. Chapter 904 almost exposed little Mickey too. "Oh, I know. Let Dad guess what good news you are going to tell me." Qi Zhan was also happy for his daughter and started laughing with her. "Hi, Dad, guess what? I'm sure you can't guess it." Qian Yuman chuckled, not knowing that her father had misunderstood. "I guess it's my daughter who found her husband and got back together with Yu's son-in-law now, little Mickey." The smile on Qian Yuman's face froze, and she immediately looked at the small window, and sure enough, she saw Tangyuj's mean face in the picture. When I realized what my father had said, I immediately interrupted what my father was going to say next. "Dad. What did you say?" Qian Yuman interrupted her father's words anxiously. "Huh?" Father Qi raised his eyebrows, looking at his daughter's annoyed expression with confusion, and there was also a frightened expression on his face, and he immediately stopped talking obediently. "Don't talk nonsense, he doesn't know." Qian Yuman blinked at her father on the screen. Just now, Qi's father almost slipped his tongue and told what happened about little Mickey. Qian Yuman didn't have to guess what was behind it. Papa Qi knew about the existence of his grandson, little Mickey, but after Qian Yuman's repeated requests, Dad Qi did not tell anyone in the Tang family that Qian Yuman had a difficult delivery that year, but little Mickey was born smoothly. Comparatively, everyone in the Tang family, including Tangyuj, thought that the dystocia caused the death of both children. Qian Yuman didn't dare to let Tangyuj know, for fear that he would her son away after he found out. Although she didn't know how long she could hide it, she could keep it secret for as long as she could. Just now she heard her father call out little Mickey's nickname, which scared her into a cold sweat. Fortunately, she interrupted in a hurry, otherwise she really didn't know whether her father would expose little Mickey's existence. Qian Yuman looked at Tangyuj with a guilty look and saw a puzzled expression on his face. She didn't know what secret words the two father and daughter were talking about. There must be something to hide from him. "Father-in-law, I am Yuj. Now that Tang Yuj was exposed, he immediately hugged Jian Yuman's shoulders happily and said shamelessly. My father-in-law thought that he was right, I did get back together with Jian. Get out. Jian Yuman turned around and yelled at Jian Yuman. She didn't expect this to be shameless and invincible. Even she admired him, but he actually told lies with his eyes open. Jian Yuman turned around and smiled at the video. Dad, don't listen to his nonsense. We are not getting back together. We are just friends now. Okay. Tang's father was still a little disappointed when he heard that the relationship between the man and woman had not yet reconciled, and it was clearly conveyed to the two of them. Jian Yuman felt uncomfortable when she saw her father's look in her eyes. She knew that her father had always wanted them to get back together and that she could live happily. What Dad Chi hopes most is for his daughter to live happily, so that little Mickey can have a happy family instead of a divorced family. Little Mickey, because he has not had a father since he was a child, is many times more mature than normal children. Looking at his little grandson, over-mature, Dad Chi is still very heartbroken. Dad, none of this is important. The good news I tell you will definitely make you very happy. Jian Yuman gave a mysterious smile with a crooked mouth. She was interrupted by Tang Yuj and did not tell her father the good news immediately. Jian Yuman looked at her with resentment and was kicked several times by her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 905. Chapter 905 Almost exposing Little Mickey 3. With resentful eyes, Jian Yuman glared at Tang Yuj, who was kicked several times by her and then hid in the opposite seat and sat down. She warned Tang Yuj with her eyes that if he dared to cause trouble as necessary, he would not be able to see the sun tomorrow. Tang Yuj, who was timid and fearful of trouble, could only stay quiet and no longer disturb Jian Yuman and his father to tell them this good thing. No more guessing, just tell me, Chi's father said with a smile, lying lazily on the chair, waiting for his daughter to tell other good news. Jian Yuman smiled brightly at the screen. It's about Mom. As soon as he heard about Jian Xian'er, Chi's father quickly sat up from his chair. He was so excited that his hand holding the phone was shaking. From Jian Yuman's point of view, the video kept shaking, and it was very powerful. The expression on Chi's father's face was one of astonishment. He was not prepared at all when he heard his daughter tell him that he had found his beloved woman. How could he not be surprised and delighted? Man, are you talking about your mother? Have you found your mother? Really? Didn't you make your father happy, after 3 years of looking for Jian Xian'er? Not to mention Jian Yuman was about to give up, even Qi Zhan was about to give up. After giving up, he was more excited than anyone else when he heard the news about his beloved woman again. His face was flushed with excitement, and his mouth was slightly open because the news came so suddenly. The surprise and joy in his heart prevented him from saying a complete sentence for a while. Yes, I saw someone who looked very much like my mother. I suspected that person was my mother. They are very similar. Qi Zhan frowned in confusion. Why do you say they are very similar, not a direct encounter? Jian Yuman nodded and told Qi Zhan with a smile what had just happened and some of Tang Yuz's guesses to his father. After Qi Zhan listened, his emotions slowly calmed down, but you can still guess from the shaking video that his inner emotions have not completely calmed down. I understand. I'll ask Yuj to continue the investigation. I'll explain the work here, and I'll fly to London tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Qi's father said something to Jian Yuman and immediately hung up the phone. He wants to move his work quickly and fly to London. Even if he hasn't gotten the news yet, he can't wait to come to London, hoping to find Jian Xian'er as soon as possible so that he can meet her. Qi Zhan, who is still deeply in love with his ex-wife, has never forgotten Jian Xian'er in his heart. His love for his ex-wife is definitely no less than that of Tang Yuj for Jian Yuman. All in all, they haven't seen each other for 8 years. He has been looking for Jian Xian'er for longer than Jian Yuman. Ever since he learned the truth 8 years ago and knew that the pregnant woman Wang Yuan was a liar, he began to look for their mother and daughter. Later, he met Jian Yuman, but he still hadn't seen his beloved woman. When he learned about Jian Xian'er's disease and other reasons, his inner desire to see her again became even greater. By the way, where is Lili? No one answered my call just now, and I wanted to tell her the good news. Jian Yuman mentioned Qi Lil. In fact, before calling Qi's father, she first called Qi Lil. Made the call. Hearing his daughter mention another daughter, Qi's father also said with an annoyed look on his face, "I don't know what happened to this girl in the past 3 years. Ever since she broke up with Faishan, she has disappeared from time to time. I haven't contacted her for 3 or 4 months. She doesn't send regular reports that she is safe every month. Text message, I wonder if this girl died outside." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 906. Chapter 906, almost exposing little Mickey for. Hey. I hope my sister can get over her previous relationship soon, Jian Yuman said regretfully. Yes. Dad misses Lili too, but this girl is a bit stubborn in relationships. Dad Qi sighed sadly. In fact, Jian Yuman and Qi Lili have never seen each other again in the past 3 years, except for the frequent phone calls in the first year. When she was first on Wang Tianyu's side, Qi Lili would still talk on the phone under Wang Tianyu's supervision. Since learning that Jian Yuman gave birth, Qi Lili and Jian Yuman have had fewer phone calls. Every time she mentioned that Qi Lili should come to see her, she always turned her down. Jian Yuman also flew back and never met her sister. Her father said that Qi Lili had not been back to the country in the past few years. She had never come back since she left her hometown 3 years ago. It's just a monthly safety report and a phone call every few months. Jian Yuman and Qi's father didn't know what Qi Lili was thinking, but they could feel it. Qi Lili was even more reticent, and the expression on her face was already cold, but now it was even colder. They all asked, but Qi Lili remained silent. Jian Yuman and Qi's father thought that Qi Lili could not let go of her breakup with Tang Faishan, so she chose to escape. This escape lasted for nearly 3 years. Jian Yuman still misses her sister very much, but unfortunately her sister doesn't want to meet her. Sometimes she even feels that her sister is avoiding her. Now I just hope that she can get over her emotional pain as soon as possible. Jian Yuman and Dad Qi made a decisive call and urgently urged Tang Yuj to find someone quickly. At the same time, she did not avoid suspicion. She called Kenny in front of Tang Yuj and asked him to help find him. Of course, she also called Dongfang Xiang and other friends with relatively large connections. With the agreement of a group of people, Jian Yuman ate with a smile. But when Tang Yuj called Kenny, the air pressure around her became lower and her face became darker. But later he felt better when he heard her calling others one after another. Being a clingy Mr. Tang, he kept stalking and chatting with the 2 women Jian Yuman and couldn't drive them away. In the end, Jian Yuman let him disturb them. It's just that this time the topic Jian Yuman always thought of the woman who looked exactly like her mother just now. Jian Yuman also told Zhang Chuiyun, who looked confused, that the 3 of them chatted very actively while eating, especially Jian Yuman who always had a bright smile on his face. It's just a series of activities that follow. Tang Yuj wants to follow, but Jian Yuman is the only one who won't let him follow, because they are all activities for women. So what are you doing? Pay the bill? They didn't agree. Poor Mr. Tang didn't want to leave. Faced with Jian Yuman who kept driving him away, he finally had no choice but to compromise and leave. But when they left, he followed them secretly not far away. They went to the movies and he also bought tickets to watch. Although Tanyuj promised Jian Yuman on the surface that he would become friends and the brother next door to his childhood sweetheart, Tanyuj refused in his heart. In his heart, he always believed that Jian Yuman was his wife, even though she was divorced. The day passed very quickly, but Jian Yuman could feel that she was a little distracted, and she was distracted while watching the movie. She unconsciously thought about her mother in her mind, and even dreamed about meeting her mother again at night, which made Jian Yuman couldn't help laughing. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 907. Chapter 907, Coming to Find Trouble 1. In the past week, Lisa was in a state of collapse. A lot of things happened every day, and she had to hide in the mountains to stop the disaster. During this week, Lisa experienced the feeling of being in dire straits. She was targeted by people from the Eastern group. After many inquiries, she still could not find out who was behind her to take evil revenge on her. The Dongfang group's population control is really tight. No matter how they investigate, there is no result. Finally, they found some clues from the investigation last night, saying that a woman personally asked Master He Xiang to help with this matter. No one except Dongfang Xiang knows what happened. Who helped? I even heard that a woman wanted to take revenge on her because Lisa had offended her before. The women she had offended, and she had offended them recently, Lisa thought carefully about how many people she had offended. In a moment of indignation, Lisa came to the door one by one to quarrel and quarrel, almost scolding the person she had offended recently, but she did not get any answer. After much deliberation, she couldn't find anyone. She once wondered if the previous people had lied to her. She directly took revenge on all the people she had offended before, regardless of whether the other person was the person who harmed her. It is better to harm the wrong person than to let someone go. After she finished her work, she received a piece of bad news that shocked the world and made people cry. A new woman appeared next to the man she liked. After careful investigation, she found out that she had seen that woman before, and she was actually Tanyuj's ex-wife. Knowing that her ex-wife was such a terrifying existence, Lisa immediately became a fighting chicken and must not let this matter continue to deteriorate. So Lisa angrily took Jian Yunyun to find trouble with Jian Yuman, who was working in the company at the moment. She has finally started to work a lot these days, and the international conference has entered its final days. However, they will not go back immediately after the meeting, because there are still many diplomatic activities that require Minister Jordan to participate, so she will also stay. After this month of work, Jian Yuman has mastered the work and is familiar with all the work processes. There are not many difficulties and challenges for her, and she can successfully complete the task every time. Her work efficiency has been unanimously praised by everyone. Jian Yuman has been recognized and praised by everyone, but naturally there are also people who disagree and praise her, including Tina, who has always disliked Jian Yuman. Not very early in the morning, there was a pile of documents on Jian Yuman's desk, all of which needed Jian Yuman to translate and input them into the computer. Jian Yuman glanced at the height of the document. It was a full 20 centimeters high. If she looked carefully, most of the documents were just typed documents. For a normal person, this document would take at least a full day to input, and even overtime would be required to complete it. Jian Yuman had a painful expression on her face, because she had to have dinner with Kenny Oba at noon. If so many documents were not completed in a timely manner, there would be no time for dinner, let alone lunch. Tina saw the painful expression in front of her and smiled sarcastically. "Can't you finish it? I was so busy the past few days. God knows why I didn't take you to work." Jian Yuman showed a sad smile. She didn't want to. It was Minister Jordan who ordered her to take a holiday. Although she didn't ask Minister Jordan if he was willing, she could guess that it must be related to Tang Yuj. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 908. Chapter 908, Coming to Find Trouble Too. Qian Yuman showed a sad smile. She didn't want to. It was Minister Jordan who ordered her to take a holiday. Although she didn't ask Minister Jordan if he was willing, she could guess that it must be related to Tang Yuj. I can finish it. Qian Yuman put her hands on the desk, sighed deeply, and put the documents that needed to be translated aside, preparing to translate them in the afternoon. Relatively speaking, the work of entering files is much simpler. The work of entering documents is actually done by the clerk, but recently everyone is very busy with work, so this task was left to her. Tina also said that the clerk had no time, so she had to do it. Who makes Tina the boss? Qian Yuman can't find a place to complain if she doesn't do anything if she wants to protest. In the end, things can only pile up on her head, and there is no place to protest if she wants to. As soon as Tina left, Dick immediately came over. May, do you need my help? Dick's work is relatively leisurely. Since he learned that Qian Yuman's ex-husband was the chairman of Dihao Group that night, Dick gave up the idea of pursuing Qian Yuman. I didn't know Qian Yuman's identity before, so when I saw the beautiful and young Qian Yuman, I wanted to catch her as my wife. Later, when I found out that she was divorced and her ex-husband was still the boss of the famous Emgrand Group, the idea of pursuing her was nipped in the bud. It was not because Qian Yuman was divorced that she was killed, but because he knew the identity of her ex-husband and thought he was not good enough for her. The chairman of the Dihao Group has been a husband. He is a little translator. No matter how many qualifications he has, he can't compare to Tang Yuj's fingers. Dick, who is very self-aware, gave up the idea of pursuing Qian Yuman, but he was still very kind to Qian Yuman. After all, he still liked her a little and couldn't bear to make things difficult for her by Tina. Dick, good brother. Qian Yuman looked serious, reached out and patted Dick's shoulder heavily, and then handed a stack of translated contents into Dick's hands. Leave it to me, Dick smiled heartily and returned to his seat. Qian Yuman looked at the information piled 20 centimeters high and moved his fingers, feeling as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Next, for the first time, everyone witnessed how quickly Qian Yuman's work efficiency increased. Her slender hands flew quickly on the keyboard, and her eyes kept looking back and forth between the information content and the computer. The information on the table was being destroyed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the typing speed could be described as super fast. Qian Yuman typed on the keyboard very fast, almost at a speed of more than 150 words an hour. Because Qian Yuman has the ability to read 10 lines at a time and has an amazing memory, she can type out the information accurately without any mistakes at a glance at the information, and at the same time, she saves the time of proofreading. In order to be able to go out to eat without worry at noon, Qian Yuman moved very fast. Just as the meal was about to end, 2 women in clothes walked in. Hello, may I ask if Qian Yuman May works here? It's her cousin Qian Yunyun. At this moment, the 2 gorgeous and women who appeared at the embassy registration office were Qian Yunyun and Qian Yunyun, who came to ask for trouble. Lisa both. The 2 of them knew that Qian Yuman was at the embassy of country F in country Y, and immediately went to Qian Yuman's work to cause trouble. Their purpose today was to make a big fuss. It didn't matter whether their bad luck during this period had anything to do with Qian Yuman. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 909. Chapter 909, Coming to Find Trouble 3. The relationship between Qian Yunyun and Qian Yuman was already in a bad state. They disliked each other, and Qian Yunyun had a deep hatred for Qian Yuman. As soon as Lisa said that she wanted to cause trouble for Qian Yuman, she didn't even need to think about it, so she happily came to the door to ask for trouble. The lady at the registration desk of the embassy saw that Qian Yunyun and the two were dressed gorgeously, and she said they were Qian Yuman's cousins, so she naturally let them in. His eyes are sharp and he recognizes Lisa's identity. After all, this time I came to London, country Y, to attend an international trade conference. The attendees were all celebrities in the business world, and Lisa, a lady from one of the top 10 groups in the world, was easily recognized by them. Qian Yuman, who was busy at work, was about to finish her work when a loud and artificial voice sounded in the office. "My dear cousin Mei," Qian Yunyun shouted loudly in fluent English, especially amplifying her voice, obviously hoping that everyone present could understand what she was shouting. "Mei." Colleagues present stopped working and looked curiously at the two coquettishly dressed people at the door. "Oh no. Sexy young women." Qian Yuman's colleagues, some were whispering to each other, and some were talking in their hearts. They didn't expect Qian Yuman to have such a rich sister. Recently, it has been spread within the department that Qian Yuman's family is in good condition. There is nothing obvious from her usual dress. Although some supplies are luxury goods, they are considered a minority. They are not like Qian Yunyun and Lisa, who are all covered with clothing. It's a luxury product. Moreover, both of them had the feeling on their faces that I am a rich man and you cannot afford the clothes I am wearing. Qian Yuman heard someone calling her. She raised her head and saw a figure rushing over quickly. Before she could see Qian Yunyun clearly, she ran in front of her. Holy shit, why is this a Qian Yunyun? The first thing that came to Qian Yuman's mind was this line. After Qian Yunyun was punished by someone she found, she seemed to be hiding with Lisa, but why did she appear in front of her again and start making trouble? Are they invincible, Xiaoqiang? After all this fuss, shouldn't they even have the guts to go out? How come they appeared in front of her again just a few days after she stopped teaching? Qian Yuman couldn't help but feel a burst of complaints and horror in her heart, and expressed her admiration for their fighting power. Lisa walked over with a charming posture. Qian Yunyun had already run over first. The expression on her face was sad and painful. "Cousin, why are you doing this? Don't you know that you are going too far? Although you are my cousin, I will never help you in this matter." Qian Yuman looked confused and didn't understand what Qian Yunyun was playing. "Qian Yunyun, are you confused? What are you talking about?" Qian Yuman said in Chinese. Many colleagues present knew Chinese, and those who didn't understand would also ask colleagues who knew Zhongwen. But Qian Yunyun still talked to Qian Yuman in English. "Cousin, why do you want to be Lisa's mistress?" The word mistress immediately shocked the surrounding colleagues. They all looked at the beautiful Qian Yuman in disbelief. The colleagues who were watching naturally knew that Qian Yuman was very popular. It was like she had only been on a business trip to London for a month, and people kept sending flowers every day. Sometimes there were even 2 bouquets a day. They were all people who had a good impression of Qian Yuman. Many of these people are famous businessmen who Qian Yuman has met once. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 910. Chapter 910, Coming to Find Trouble for. Qian Yuman doesn't take these people to heart, because to her, these people are not really interested in her, they are just vulgar people who are interested in her appearance. Qian Yuman, who was so popular, was actually accused by her cousin of being someone's mistress. Qian Yuman naturally felt that the eyes around her had changed, and she felt depressed for a while. "Qian Yunyun, please pay attention to your words. When did I become a mistress?" But she didn't know. At this time, the big cow Lisa walked up to Qian Yuman, shaking her proud peak, and covered her mouth with her hand in sadness. "Why do you want to destroy me and my man? Don't you know that I am going to be engaged to him? Lisa pretended to cry sadly, and she did have a sad expression on her face. However, the plastic surgery on her face was too serious, and many muscles in her face were a little stiff, which made her crying expression a bit weird. Qian Yuman complained in her heart, what kind of drama is this big plastic surgery cow playing? She actually said that she ruined the relationship between her man. Qian Yuman wasn't so stupid that she didn't guess what she was talking about. She clearly meant Comrade Tang Yuj, but she chose to act like she didn't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you are talking about. I am single now and don't have a boyfriend. I can't possibly ruin your relationship with your boyfriend. I have to work now. Please go out. Qian Yuman pointed to the door and ordered the guests to be kicked out. Now Lisa and Qian Yunyun have seriously disturbed their office work progress, and the busybodies have stopped working to watch the fun. You. Lisa blushed and accused Qian Yuman angrily. Don't tell lies with your eyes open. Who doesn't know that Yuj and I have a deep relationship, and you, a woman, have been pestering my man every day in the past few days. I even saw you coming in and out of Yuj's house several times, and one day you even stayed overnight. The more Lisa talked, the more sad she became. She was really sad. During the days when she suffered, Qian Yuman actually visited Tang Yuj's house frequently. Didn't you say that they were divorced? Why do we still visit so frequently, and even spent the night at Tang Yuj's house one day? Lisa's words surprised everyone present. They all turned their gazes curiously to Qian Yuman, waiting for Qian Yuman's answer. Qian Yuman only stayed overnight at Tang Yuj's house once. That was the day Tang Yuj became seriously ill. She took care of Tang Yuj all night and did not go home until the next day. She did come in and out of Tang Yuj's house frequently in the past few days because Tang Yuj was sick and had to eat lunch cooked by her every day. But now that Tang Yuj is sick, Qian Yuman has never been to Tang Yuj's house again. What Lisa said happened several days ago. I'm sorry, this is my private matter, you have no right to interfere. And I heard that you and Mr. Tang are not boyfriend and girlfriend. Even if I have anything with him, I am not a mistress who intervenes in your relationship. Don't be pretentious and add drama to yourself. Qian Yuman in turn laughed at Lisa for not denying her relationship with Tang Yuj and not admitting it. Listening to Lisa, she really thought that Qian Yuman and Tang Yuj were rekindled. For a moment, jealousy made her lose her mind. She stepped forward and raised her hand to give Qian Yuman a slap in the face. Lisa used almost all her strength to slap her. Qian Yuman, who had been wary of Lisa for a long time, caught Lisa's hand steadily. End of this chapter.